There's something I think I want to describe as having a direct connection to God. Although that sounds very pontifical and egocentric, it's a real experience. The word God gets in the way, perhaps, but a direct connection to something greater, perhaps to greatness itself. A direct connection to something above and beyond us that is, in some very fundamental way, not only connected to us, but observing us at every second of our life. In a world of duality, there's us and it. But as you move past duality, there's just what is. And a profound connection to what is. A profound sense of immersion in what is. Being informed by this higher, meaning not general daily consciousness, but something greater and more observant and more remarkable, really, than our day-to-day life. It is highly directive. It is very judgmental. Not in a high school classroom way. It's not grading us exactly. It's just watching us. It is observing. It knows when we failed a test. It knows when we did well. When you're young, it can give you a little star on your forehead or an A+ on your term paper or a D- or something like that. And so we all know this idea of being graded by something. But imagine yourself being graded by life, because in a way you are. We have, people call it infinite potential. As a human being, it's all available. How much do you take on? How much do you make yourself available to the potential of human experience? How deep do you go into your emotional exploration? How much do you give to the world? How much do you give to one other person? How much love is in your heart? How self-centered are you? How egotistical, narcissistic? Are you one of those people who makes everything about you? Can you begin to, in small gradient terms, let go of that? All of those choices are being observed. You can call it by a higher power. I could also call it by you yourself. Rudy used to talk very directly about consciousness, being conscious and unconscious. As you grow in consciousness, you begin to discover the mass of unconsciousness around you. Rudy used to say, a spiritual life, let's put it differently, a conscious life begins with making your bed in the morning. I've referred to that a lot. How many of you make your bed in the morning? I'm not going to look for hands, but it's an act of completing a cycle and preparing for a new cycle. Cleaning up after yourself. How many of you leave a sink full of dishes all day long? How many of you put the dishes away? How many of you take the car in for service, and how many of you don't? How many of you throw a wrapper outside the car window as you're driving down the road, making the world your garbage can? Consciousness is an awareness that life is full of miracle and precious, that it is an expression of something so exquisitely beautiful and troubling, something so powerful and gentle, something infinite and present tense. It is an indescribable reality that we have found ourselves in, and we are either participants in that, consciously or unconsciously. To be unconscious is to be moved around the board by unseen forces, slammed into walls, slamming your finger into a doorway, bumping your head up against other people, causing a kind of a endless series of conflicts and difficulties and obstructions in your life. And then there is another kind of life where you kind of open your eyes and look where you're going. Close the door gently. Remember to put gas in the car. Remember to pick up the laundry, or even to take it in. There's a kind of life that is engaged, where you live your life awake and aware, or conscious. When we had class at Rudy's in New York, there was a group of us who couldn't wait to take out the garbage because it was so symbolically rich to remove the garbage from the class. How many of you line up to take out the garbage? How many of you are waiting to help others? How many of you are waiting for instruction, or better, listening to instruction, and even better, following instruction in the world? Trust me, instruction is there all the time. Conscious people hear it. Unconscious people don't. Unconscious people create havoc in the world. Conscious people try as best as possible to make something smooth and gentle and easy out of that conflicted space. The world was meant to have consciousness and unconsciousness operating simultaneously. Those of us who are in the conscious mode or moving toward consciousness will look at the unconscious mind with a great deal of compassion. Unconscious people look at unconscious other people and honk the horns and yell at them in the car and jump in front of them in line and create more havoc. Unconsciousness tends to create more unconscious action, and it causes karmic response. Karmic response is the more you complicate another person's life, the more your life will get complicated. If you cause ease and gentility and compassion and understanding and awareness in your life, and you bring it to other people's lives, they will create a world around you that will be easier to live in. But whether they do that or don't do that, it's your job, if you're sitting in a school of consciousness, to practice it. Become conscious. Become a better person. Someone who listens and doesn't just talk. Someone who cares and doesn't want to only be cared for. Somebody who gives rather than just takes. These are the basics of a conscious life. And if you're living a conscious life, the benefits of a conscious life are you will have an easier life. It will be more open-hearted. It will be clearer in terms of its intent, in terms of its what it gives back. The journey is a big one. A conscious life will start to tell you that there's a lot ahead. there is a lot of potential growth and development and alteration and transformation and transcendence waiting for you, assuming you are willing to move on that journey. A lot of people begin that journey, discover a certain hierarchy of being able to serve others, being a kind person, and you will find that that's a very comfortable place to build your house. And so you walk around with this identity of being a nice guy, nice girl. And you stop. Consciousness took you to a place of some comfort, some I'm okay, you're okay space, and you go, okay. Rudy used to talk about getting your picture in Life magazine and living with your house on Schitt's Creek. The idea being that you get to what you want, but you're still living in a world that's messy and awful, and because all you wanted was recognition for whatever it is you did. If that's your stopping point, let me tell you, it will not satisfy. Consciousness is growing, it's evolving, it is reaching into something higher and greater all the time. And I can tell you from having done this now for 50 years, I don't see an end to it. I don't know what the end point is. I can only tell you that as you sit and make yourself available, it will use you more and more and more, and it will wipe you out. It doesn't need your personality, it doesn't need your achievement, it doesn't need your attainment, it doesn't need anything, it just needs you to show up. And then it will give you the work of the moment, and it is so wise, so intelligent, so brilliantly inspirational that it will move you into every situation it needs you to be in, and it will show you what to do and ask you to please do it. To offer love to somebody, to reach out in compassion to somebody, to share your story with somebody, whatever it tells you to do. It's really, thy will be done in extraordinarily massive terms. You become the force of consciousness itself. You become a manifesting energy that comes into the world to help it and serve it as brilliantly as you can. And in order to become that, this energy needs to dissolve the personality, especially the part that wants to take credit, the part that wants to be identified as a doer or as a knower or as a vessel. It will go, it will just blow it apart and blow it apart. And that blowing apart is not easy, but the value of being blown apart is the less there is of you, the more there is of it. There may at some point be nothing to witness it. There will only be it. Or this. Or love incarnate. Or beauty. Or whatever it is. I always thought I had the answers, and I always thought I knew the journey, and I always thought, and I've talked about this before, there would come a point where Bruce would be a knower of things, and a person who could communicate things, and I would be a voice of something greater. What's happening is this greater thing is scrubbing Bruce out of the picture. Memory, history, thought patterns, just going. It's amazing to watch. I talked about it a few weeks ago in class. I said either this is enlightenment or it's Alzheimer's. And I honestly cannot tell you what it is, but I will tell you it's everything I've been working for 50 years. There is something that there is no one to own. It just is. It just is. And I sit here with you in class, and I follow instructions, and it loves you so much, so much, and it knows it needs to fix certain programming elements in you, certain constructions or certain obstructions that are inside you that need to be fixed in some way. And I, who can't figure out how to open the hood of a car, am able to look inside you and am told where to go and what to do to fix what's there. Tiny incremental fixes that change the entire equation. And it looks into you, and what it is doing is it is trying to make you more conscious. The more I can get rid of the ego-mindedness, the old patterning, and there are some of you I've been with for 30 or more years, you know, I still see structures that don't want to give way. And I keep finding new techniques and mechanisms, or that are presented to me, that go in and go into the little parts of your brain cell and go and get rid of this crap. Because all of you have a capacity to return to old patterning and to old structures until they are finally absolutely eradicated. And at some point, you need to sit without a teacher, without a guide, without an outside helper, and just do it yourself. As all of you here know, these classes in LA are coming to an end. I don't know how soon. The house will be on the market in about 2 weeks, I guess. I don't know how fast it will sell or not sell. So there will be a limited number of classes left. Talks will be online if you want talks. But this experience of growing consciously at some point has to be turned over to you. You have to do it. There is nobody else who's going to come and do it for you. The period of having a teacher is like the period of having a parent. At some point, you go out on your own, and you find a lot of other teachers out there. And here's the problem with the teachers out there. They're all out there. And the real teacher that you really need to discover is in here, or in here, or in here. I'm pointing to my gut, pointing to my heart, I'm pointing to my head. The thing you're looking for, the guides that you're looking for, reside in the deep ocean of being that you are. The whole idea of this class, of meditation itself, is to turn you into that still, quiet zone that knows it all, and to allow you to go deep, deep, deep into that wisdom and knowledge that is ancient and eternal, and let it inform everything you do. This idea of having a teacher is only for one reason: teaching you to go into that space. The teacher can help. Clearly, I think there's some value in a teacher. I was grateful for Rudy for all the years I had him. I had him for 7 years. When Rudy died, I realized I had to become the teacher of myself, and then ultimately I was told to teach others. But the teaching comes from within. The ultimate teacher is already in play inside you. If you haven't found that teacher, it's because you haven't done the work. What is the work? Sit still once a day, 30 minutes, longer if you want, but not all day, because it never goes away. It's just go in and connect. When you have that connection and you feel, okay, carry it with you and let it move you through the day. Let it guide you. If you get lost during the day, take a moment, stop, take a breath, try to find it again. If you don't find it, be gentle with yourself during the day, because you don't want to act unconsciously and get yourself in trouble. So just know that you're not connected or you're not conscious. When you get home at night, instead of turning on the television or watching Netflix or whatever, just sit still and find it again. Find yourself over and over. And as you find yourself, you will find that that self is vast. I call it oceanic. It also has, and I've talked about this a lot, an uprising energy. It takes you out of the bodily self and into the cosmic self. It lifts you up. It transcends the physical. And as you go up into yourself, it will take you in, program you, take care of stuff, and put you back. And you go back into the body for as long as you have one, and you can become that which serves the self. Serving the self is the most joyful thing you can do in life because it brings fulfillment. You feel full of the self. You feel full of, you can call it yourself, but it is the self. And you will feel this vast being radiating, illuminating itself out of you. If you take ownership of that, it goes away. Or you'll pretend it's there, but it will go away. I've described this maybe 100 times, I don't know, on the talks I've given, but if you think you're full of yourself, the self, and you're driving down the road and there's 7 green lights ahead of you, and you go through one after another, the minute you go, wow, I've got green lights, red light. It happens like that. It's so fast. The minute you own your specialness, your flow, your connectedness, they take it away. It is really to stay humble, surrendered, open, and available, and let them clean you out and wash you out of the picture, and you become liberated. You realize who you are, what you are. You become enlightened in that you become more of a vessel of light than an object of shadow and darkness. When this happens, you will look around you and you will see shadow and darkness everywhere. Almost everyone you look at will be unconscious. What to do? Was this a gift to be awakened? Is it a gift to be conscious in a world of sleeping beings, unconscious entities? Painful on some level, but there's definitely work to be done. What's the simplest version of that? Loving them. Speaking openly and honestly to them. One thing to do not try to pontificate to them. Do not try to teach them. Be the example. Be the living, walking proof. Be that which is love and offers love. Be compassion and offer compassion. That is what awakened souls do. If you try to teach people the truth, you will have a big problem, and I'll tell you why. Because the human mind cannot understand or grasp the truth. Any truth you pontificate will not be true. All you can do is express your own understanding of truth, which is fine. You can talk to people about what you know or believe to be true, but do not claim it to be scripturally true. It just is what it is. Stay humble in its presence and be its living voice, be its living presence in the world. And you may become like Lao Tzu, who knew everything and walked away from the village without wanting to say another word. And not wanting to say another word because what's to be said? Here is the final teaching in a way. It's all up to you. You know, you're going to have this talk on tape. There are lots of talks on tape, and there are a lot of great teachers out there. A lot of really great teachers. There's a smorgasbord of teachers out there. And you can try to just find the ones that resonate with you. And when they resonate with you, that means something. The only danger is be careful. Sometimes they resonate in that they keep you feeling smug. Or they keep you feeling like all is perfect and bliss and that there is nothing for you to do, you're already that. I don't have a problem with that. There's truth in that. But it limits a lot of people. They walk around feeling, well, I'm done, I already did it. All I can tell you from my own journey is there's no done, and boy, do they know how to take more away than you imagined you had. It is thy will be done, not your will be done. It is a journey into infinite being, and you can't take anything with you. So, as we wind down these classes in Los Angeles, which makes me unbearably sad, and it's really hard for me to be leaving you guys, really, really hard. But that's Bruce talking. You're never going to be left at all. You are totally, totally in touch with, available to that which is, and it will never leave you because it is the essence of you. It cannot go anywhere. The only thing that goes anywhere is you and your mind. And if you want to live a mind that's in distraction, if you want to watch and stream every Netflix and Amazon Prime show there is on television for the rest of your life, you have the absolute freedom and option to do that. But I would suggest turn off the TV, turn off the cell phone, turn off the computer, sit still, go for a walk if you don't like sitting still, be present with yourself, feel who you are, let the joy of being return to you because it will. Get out of your mind because that's the source of disturbance. Let the mind get still, get quiet, get centered, and you will find the doorway to that which brings joy and comfort and serenity and openness and acceptance in a way that you've been looking for your whole life, and it's right there. But you have to do your part. Tune out and then tune in. So, thank you guys for coming today. You know, in some ways, you've heard all this a million times before. The incredible thing about spiritual discourse, in a way, is that it doesn't really get old. And if it does get old, then go to somebody else and listen to them. Because in the end, this is all there is. This is all there is. You know, you can read every novel, every book, watch every television show looking for guidance and information, and they may give you little pieces of it, but this is like download, just direct download. And the ultimate download is sit still and figure it out. Or sit still and be it. Done. And how many of you are going to go home and sit still? I don't know. I don't know. You know, mostly it'll be next week when I have time. As soon as I have time, after I, you know, take the kids and do the shopping and, you know, pay the bills and all the stuff that one does, where's the time to be still? Well, as people say, at the very end, you'll have a lot of time to be still. But if you haven't practiced stillness before ultimate stillness arises, you won't greet it with a lot of joy. Figure it out now. The one thing that will greet you in the end is the loss of everything and the discovery of who you are. But if you haven't discovered who you are before that, it may not be a welcome sight. Some of you may have noticed when you walked in today that the coffee table in the living room and also the one in the den are covered in books. We are in the process of giving away things we don't want to take with us in the move. Please take any book you want on either table home with you. If you have to make 6 trips to your car, that's great, because what you don't take, I got to put back in boxes somewhere and take to a library or something. So feel free to take any of the books, and over the however many classes remain, we will be giving stuff away if you want it. And you know, in a way, it's a gift to the teacher to take stuff. just take it. And, you know, your job in this world with a good teacher is just to absorb what's there and find freedom in the process. Again, I love you guys so much, and I really hope we see you more often than not. I don't know what's coming at all, none of us do, but until I see you next time, lots of love, and thanks for being here. Oh, question?
Those of us who've been teaching while you have been out of town, have been looking for a space to teach class once this place sells. And we've had the offer of a couple of small spaces that couldn't accommodate a class of this size, but we're still looking. So I just wanted to point out that will be available.
Thank you for sharing that. Yes, I've spoken to the teachers, and we're trying to come up with somewhere to have classes. They may not be Sunday mornings, they may be nighttime classes, they may be anything at all. And we'll do our best to create a space for you to come to. And I will do my best to get back here as I can and to find a place, again, to sit with you. So I put this out there, I think I did it in a class email. If any of you know of places that would be available, that would hold, you know, this size group, that would be great. I suspect regular classes might be smaller, but you know, if we get back here once in a while, maybe we'll have you do something bigger. In New York, we used to go to Big Indian and teach at the classroom there, which is very large, and people would come from everywhere at that point because it was 3 times a year. That may be what happens here. We'll figure it out, but just know you're also completely welcome in New York, all of you. If you make a trip to the East Coast and you want to come 2 hours north of the city, we have room for you. We would love to see you there. And this is all in process, and I'll keep you apprised as it goes forward, but things are moving, and as you come back to the house, more than likely every time there'll be a little less here. But know that it's the same space, the room is available until it's not, so thank you for coming, and I'll see you next time.